Good morning, gamers. We are here today to talk about half-elves and the LOFT project, largest online fantasy tabletop. So half-elves, they've been in the news about our favorite game lately since the people who currently own the mainstream name brand of our favorite game have decided to deauthorize half-elves or something. I don't know. There was that big thing a month or two ago about them somehow deciding that half-elves and half-orcs and stuff are somehow racist or whatever. Still trying to figure that out. But because it really seems like they're the racists because they've decided that race mixing is not right. And I'm like, there's a whole bunch of people that believe that, and they're called fascists and Nazis. But anyway, moving on. So, half-elves, in the history of our favorite game, in the beginning, I remember in, first edition, second edition, stuff like that, in worlds like Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms, half-elves were described in the literature lore as, they inherited the most likable traits of humans and elves, and just everybody loves half-elves. And, they got charisma bonuses and blah, blah, blah. And then came Dragonlance. And in Dragonlance, Tanis Half-Elven was like one of the main protagonist characters, and he was kind of dark and broody. And one of the things that the company that owned, the mainstream brand of our favorite game at the time, one of the things they wanted to do with the Dragonlance world was they wanted to make it, different. Not just be the same as a regular D&D world, not just make it the same as as what people expected from Tolkien knockoff and stuff like that. And so the Tanis Half-Elven was kind of a dark, brooding character because he didn't fit into either world. And so he grew his hair long to cover up his pointed ears, and he grew in a beard because they decided that since his dad was a human, that he had the ability to grow a beard. And the word dad is actually too generous there because Tanis Half-Elven was the product of rape, because there had been wars between the different species of peoples in the history of the Dragonlance world, and so Tanis's elven mother was raped by a human soldier. And so that was so he was considered a bastard in his society and everything. So Tanis was a dark, brooding figure, and didn't really ever fit in. And, and that's another thing about, the people that, own the name brand of our favorite game right now is, they don't want to ever consider anything dark that actually happens in society, like rape or anything. But again, what? They started it when they decided half-elves were racist, so whatever. So if I talk some smack back against them, they certainly deserve it. But anyway, so half-elves then, they kind of got into this idea that they don't really fit in anywhere. So you could do half-elves either way. The traditional old-school Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms, everybody loves half-elves. In Dragonlance, they're pretty rare. They have issues. In Dark Sun, actually, today is a Wednesday, and on Wednesday afternoons, we actually have a Dark Sun table. And in Dark Sun, half-elves don't fit in anywhere. Humans don't trust them, and elves don't want them around. So it can be an issue to have a mixed heritage, either in real life or in a fantasy life. My oldest friendship in the world goes all the way back to the 1980s in the brick and mortar game shop's basement. And my oldest friendship in the world, his parents met in the Korean War. And so his dad was a Caucasian white man and his mother's Korean woman. And, he's been my friend for decades now. And I don't think he'll ever get around to writing a book about it, but he'll talk sometimes about writing a book about what it is like to have one foot in each world, to have one foot in the Western Americanized world and one foot in the Asian world, and what it's like to be a person of two worlds. And these are the kinds of stories that we can tell with half-elf characters and other characters of mixed heritage. Later on in this video series, we're going to get to the half-orc pretty soon. And we'll have stuff to say about that. But characters of mixed heritage do have a foot in each world. And I think when the Wizards of the Coast, the people that just happen to own the name brand of our favorite game right now, unfortunately, when they were kind of walking back what they'd done a couple months ago, they decided that in the 6th edition of their game, or whatever they're going to call it, 1D&D or revised 5e or whatever in 2024, they decide, well, you can have a mixed heritage character. You're just going to have to pick the full-on appearance of one of your parents, and then the ability stat block of another one of your parents, or the same parent, or whatever. So in this version, if you were that they propose, if you were a half-elf, you could decide to look like a full human or look like a full elf, and you could also decide to have the abilities of a full human or the abilities of a full elf, but there wouldn't be like a blended look, and there wouldn't be a blended set of abilities. And forget that. They can do whatever they want to do since they own the intellectual IP to the name brand of our favorite game. The rest of us are just going to keep playing our favorite game. So yes, I think I definitely ranted today, and I think I definitely earned that grumpy old GM title. But anyway, we got a lot more coming up in the LOFT project as we continue through Old School Essentials Advanced Players book. Tomorrow we'll get to the Halfling, also known as the Hobbit, also known as the Hin, for those of you that are really up on your D&D lore. All right, links in the doodly-doo below. You can play with us now. We got our website, Discord, other social media, stuff like that. We make monthly appearances, well, more than appearances, at the GEA Mini Convention Game Days in Southeast Missouri. That's St. Clair, Missouri, at the Pine Mark Inn. And this coming month, we are on June 24th, we are showcasing and debuting and showboating, if I do say so myself, our second official LOFT GM, Ron Watson. We're also going to have a breakout GM Academy session for our Patreons to attend remotely over the internet, and also for people that are there to, free samples. Speaking of free, in our last video, we talked about how you can get GM Academy, personal GM coaching, free for 7 days now. So definitely check that out in the doodly-doo below. But in the meantime, I will see you around the gaming table.